Hello there my dear friends, and welcome back to another very exciting Star Wars video. Lucasfilm just did something extremely unprecedented. They changed a huge detail about The Last Jedi's ending, which alters how you see both episodes 8 and 9. Star Wars fan to Star Wars fan, let me ask you a question, just from an audience perspective. Do you think Kylo Ren knew that Luke Skywalker died after their quote-unquote duel on Crait? According to multiple sources, including what's implied in the novelization, Kylo felt Luke fade in the Force after exhausting himself from the intensity of Force projection from Ahsoka. When Kylo attempted to strike his uncle down, his lightsaber passed right through him. The scene then cuts to Luke's actual body on Ahsoka Island, and after the confrontation with his nephew, he poetically looks up at the twin suns and his physical body vanishes peacefully on becoming one with the Force. It's one of those scenes I feel very conflicted about, and with absolute clarity I remember how I felt when I first saw it in the cinema. My brain was saying, no, don't kill off Luke. Surely this isn't the end. But with Luke's sacrifice being the reason the Resistance lived to fight another day, with the Force theme playing in the background, it made me angry but also kind of emotional. But nonetheless, Kylo didn't actually see Luke die, he felt it. After he realizes his uncle is just a projection, when that projection fades, he felt Luke fade and sensed his physical form had perished. I believe this was always the intention of Rian Johnson, so that is what I would say was previously established. But now my friends, in the latest issue of the Legacy of Vader Kylo Ren comics, so this is after The Last Jedi and before the Rise of Skywalker, Lucasfilm revealed that Kylo Ren thinks Luke is still alive. This is an insane comic for several reasons, not just this. As I covered the last time we spoke about this comic run just a few weeks ago, Kylo's been learning all about his grandparents, Vader and Padme, and he recently learnt about Order 66. But Kylo has a very different perspective of it. He doesn't see it as a triumph of the Sith. He doesn't care about Palpatine and even says as much, but he seems to think because there were some survivors, it was one of the Sith's biggest failures. He thinks his grandfather should have done a much better job at wiping out the Jedi. So believing he can be a better version of Darth Vader, Kylo Ren seeks out the last surviving Jedi, which in this comic run is an old, feline woman known simply as Grandia. Kylo travels far to the planet of Lati, and in a small icy village, he comes face to face with her. But what he doesn't realize is she's smarter than he thinks. And she's one of the very few survivors still around by this point in the timeline. The sequel trilogy. We don't even know if Grogu or Ahsoka make it this far, but the comic names her as one of the last survivors. Pretty ambiguous. One of the last survivors could mean 5, 10, 100, we really don't know. But this is where the last issue ended, and the latest one provides some crazy insights into who she was and how she survived Order 66. She might have been among the most powerful Force users the Order once had, and her foresight allows her to manipulate Kylo's mind. Everything in their encounter is not as it seems. She even knows about Luke's death, which is news to Supreme Leader Kylo Ren. This comic changes everything, so no more jibber jabber, let's dive in. Kylo finds Grandia at a local bar, and just to inform you my dear friends, none of their surroundings are real. This is all a concoction of Grandia's imagination. She has tricked Kylo Ren into thinking they're in a bustling bar, but they're not. There's been no one in this village for years. It's all a mind trick, which you learn later on. But she steals Kylo's lightsaber using the Force. "Return that lightsaber to me at once. Don't you know who I am?" Grandia replies, "Just so you can cut me down? That would be an extremely foolish decision on my part. And as you're about to discover, Kylo Ren, I'm brilliant." They take their confrontation outside, and it becomes very apparent to Kylo Ren that Grandia is inside his mind. "How do you know my name? I didn't give you my name." "It's right there in front of your mind, young man. You're screaming it to yourself. Kylo Ren, I'm Kylo Ren, as if you want to drown out everything else."
I know what I have to do, but I don't know if I have the strength to do it.
"I'm not trying to steal information you don't want to give. I'm just picking up what you're giving off. It's like I said, you're screaming." Grandia continues, "So you're looking for a Jedi, eh? Why? There are no bounties on our heads anymore. Not for a long time. Not since the Empire fell." "My reasons are my own," Kylo insists. "For now. Anyway, Kylo Ren, you need to keep looking. I'm not a Jedi." "That is a lie. You are a Jedi, you use the Force. You knew the crystal in my lightsaber was cracked at a glance." "So I did, but I didn't lie to you. I'm not a Jedi. I was a Jedi." Have you ever heard the story of Order 66? And so here, my dear friends, in 2025, we get a brand new scene, a brand new flashback to Order 66. The Great Jedi Purge ended the Clone Wars. You may not have heard of those either. They happened long before you were born. The important thing, Kylo Ren, is that Order 66 put an end to the Jedi. Only a few of us remain. And so the day it happened, Grandir was stationed with another Jedi Knight at a separatist outpost. They're discussing tactics, and this panel made me laugh. She goes to get an iced tea because she has a headache. Imagine seeing that in something like Revenge of the Sith. Anyway, they're discussing the separatists, but she hears commotion outside. Her clone commander receives the infamous hologram instruction from Lord Sidious. The time has come. Execute Order 66. She knew they were coming for her, so thinking on her feet, she used a Jedi mind trick the Jedi considered undignified, something Master Yoda would not have approved of. She tricked the clones into thinking she was someone else. This forbidden mind trick is a kind of personality mask, and it works. She used it on her clone legion, and when they're looking for her, she tells them to their face, "The Jedi has disguised herself as one of you. Do what you must. Take no chances." And then we see the clones turning on each other, believing one of them is her. And then we learn Grandir received Obi-Wan's message, the message he transmitted from Coruscant that we also see in Star Wars Rebels.
I regret to report that both our Jedi Order and the Republic have fallen.
But Grandir was frustrated with Master Kenobi. A message was sent out of Coruscant, she says, by one of our own, telling the Jedi to not return to the temple, to trust in the Force. But that was all. No further instructions, no offers of help, no explanation, nothing. Thousands of Jedi slaughtered. By night, I was alone, all alone. I did trust in the Force. I reached out. I listened. It told me to survive, and that's what I did. If I wanted to live, I could no longer be a Jedi. I destroyed my lightsaber. I burnt my robes, but I knew it wasn't enough. The Emperor was after us. He had a list, the names of the known surviving Jedi. My status as a member was already known to others. It was awful. I was being hunted, and any person I met might be my downfall. I trusted no one. The Empire ensured it. I could have gone off to be a hermit in some wasteland, but the Force told me to live. But a life in isolation was no life at all, so I chose a different path. I left my Jedi identity behind, except for two things, my connection to the Force and that mind trick. It served me well. And then we see her taking on different roles, as a mechanic, as a smuggler. Using her mind trick to make those she encountered forget her existence was her way of survival. That was until the day the Inquisitors came. And this is where we get an epic Jedi Fallen Order style flashback. Darth Vader, Iskat Akaris, Aayla Secura's old Padawan, also known as the 13th Sister, and the 9th Sister.
Open fire!
They tracked her down. They jawed her, but she survived. But to avoid the Empire coming back, she used this her Force mind trick to convince the Inquisitors and Darth Vader her body burnt alive. So Vader was satisfied. So when the flashback ends, Grandir tells Kylo that's how she made it all these years, and she realizes her Force abilities went well beyond what was allowed by the Jedi. She says they would never have contemplated a mind trick like this, and she admits to Kylo she's been using it against him. In fact, she's not even there. Just like Luke Skywalker, she's a projection. She's elsewhere in the galaxy. She knew Kylo was coming for her, and so she did what Luke did, and she informs Kylo Skywalker is dead, something he clearly didn't know. So as you can see, my dear friends, there's a lot to absorb in this comic. It changes Order 66, it adds a new character and a new survivor, and also changes the ending of Episode 8. Share your thoughts in the comments down below.